All right, folks, we are in for a long haul. This is the last one I'm doing, I promise. If you haven't been watching, number one, my name is Monique. I am Lil Mo Travels. This is my travel page. I decided a while ago that I was going to start a travel page, start talking about all the experiences I've had, traveling and stuff like that. I just came back from a trip to Sierra Leone. And that's not the only place I went, but that was the main reason why I was traveling in the first place, was to go to Sierra Leone. I have a friend, Sia, that I met in college. She moved back to Sierra Leone right before the pandemic started, something like that. This is my first time seeing her since then. So if you haven't seen the first part, second part, third part, I also have videos about how on my way to Sierra Leone, I stopped in London and I visited my friend Lamar. I stopped in Spain and I visited my host parents and my host sister in Spain and High in Spain. So I talked about those things. I also kind of mentioned them throughout the part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series of my trip to Sierra Leone in January 2023. Please watch those because I might mention something in this video that doesn't make sense to you because you didn't see the other ones. I'm just going to hop right in because they've been very long because it was a very long trip. So this video will be about how I left Sierra Leone. Sidebar, if you've watched the other videos and you have questions, or maybe I said something I didn't fill in a hole, like something doesn't make sense, please comment and then I'll go back and I'll clarify stuff. I'll probably do a clarification video or something like that to kind of clear things up. Leaving Sierra Leone, it was sad because at the point where I was getting ready to leave, I had been there for about 4 days. You know, you really get to know people quickly. When you know that they're getting ready to leave, you ask them a lot of questions. You're a lot less nervous to get to know them because you know that you're not going to see them in a minute. The last day we went to the beach. We hung out. Everybody came. So like I said, Sia and her husband, they took in her youngest sister. She has a cousin that lives with them as well. They also have their daughter, Lizzie, and it's them too. So that's them in the household. Who is always also with them, her nephew, Sia's nephew, Calvin. So it was a lot of us that went to the beach together that day. On the way back, or on the way to the beach, we took the KK. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch one of the other videos. I explained it. I'm not going to re-explain it. So we took the KK. Me, Nancy, and Sia were in the KK first because we stopped to go to the market to pick up something that I forgot to pick up before. After that, we went and we made it all the way to the beach. And then we were like, oh, wait, we should go buy your ferry ticket right now because we're over by there. So we went to go buy my ticket for the ferry to go back to the airport later that day. And then we went back to the beach. We walked the beach, and it's an experience that Sia wanted me to have. I was like, all right, girl. So we walked. We didn't walk on the beach. We walked on the sidewalk next to the beach. And it was hot. H-O-T. Capital letters, underscore, italicized, 3 exclamation points. It was so hot. I think what it is I'm used to the sun in certain places. I remember the first time we got to Spain. It was hot as shit. And we weren't accustomed to that. I wasn't accustomed to that. And so this was a new experience for me, being in this kind of sun. It was definitely something that I was like, I had to tell Sia a couple times, like, girl, I'm not accustomed to this kind of heat. After that, she found a place for us to sit in the shade. The 3 of us came first. Then the KK went back to the house and picked up her sister, her cousin, Calvin, and Lizzie, the baby, and brought them to where we were. So we sat there, laughed, took pictures, had a good time. It was really nice. The whole time I just felt welcomed and appreciated. Like, no, really though, thank you for coming out here. Every time, it was funny because every time I would meet someone that they knew but I didn't know, they would say, wow, you're a really good friend for coming out here. I was like, I guess when you're a traveler like that, coming out here, it really ain't a thing. Yeah, it costs a lot of money. And yes, like traveling the way that I do costs a lot of money. So not that traveling costs a lot of money because it doesn't have to. But the way that I travel, it does cost a lot of money. And so for me to have to do this because I want to and because I enjoy it is no big thing. For me to have to get on flights the way that I did for this trip, it was a lot. I'm not going to lie and say it wasn't a lot, but I was able to see my friend, which was the whole purpose. So I met the purpose and I'm happy with that. So it was nice to just be with them and laugh and joke and learn more about Sia's life. Because at first they were having a conversation amongst themselves. Shout out to Moses, because Moses was like, I remember the night before, they were talking and I was kind of just on my phone, not really engaging. And Moses was like, okay, we have to speak in English now because Monique is with us. And I was like, nah. Like, I'm here to just take in everything that we are all doing together, And then we ended up playing riddles. And so they would look up a riddle, and we would have to guess what the answer is. You ain't gonna believe who won that game. Me. I'm surprised. It was funny because At first, they were just doing riddles in general, and nobody was getting the answers. I was like, I don't know. And then Moses was like, Sia, you need to look up African riddles because this ain't making no sense. And then that's when I started winning. I was like, wow, that's crazy. The same situation happened. We were at the beach. They were having a conversation in Creole. And I could kind of understand Creole because some of the words are the same in English. So like the word understand is the same. So when someone asked me if I could understand them, I mean, I can understand what you just said. But, you know, sometimes the conversation was in full-on Creole. I wouldn't understand what they were saying. It was a struggle sometimes, but eventually they would be like, oh, we should probably say in English what we just said in Creole. See, I think she had noticed, and then she said, you know, this is what we're talking about. Not to put their business out there, so I'm not going to tell you what the story was. But they would bring me into stuff so that I could also understand it and I can engage with them. Sia's little sister, she just thought I was the funniest thing. Like, and, you know, I am funny, but she thought I was hilarious. And so every time we would talk, I would say something like, you know, Sia also thinks I'm funny. And so everybody just be laughing, and it was a really great time. It was really nice. And I miss my friend. I think about her all the time. I'm not going to go on a Sia parade again. That happened on the second video, I think. I just talked about how great of a person she is and how grateful I am to have her in my life. And I told her when I got in the car the first day, I said, girl, it's not many people I travel across the world for, so I'm here. You know what I'm saying? That last day was a really great, that was a day I was grateful to be a part of. We got back to the house, we took pictures, and then I had to start packing because my flight left at 2 in the morning. And the last ferry to the airport was at like 10 at night. Around 8, I started getting up and, you know, I showered so that I would be as clean as I could be for the next flight. That was long as shit. Started packing my stuff. On a previous video, I talked about how I purchased a lot of things while I was in Sierra Leone. So the goal was to try to pack what I could before we went to the beach. And then after we came back from the beach, I packed everything else. Only packed what I needed for the plane and my little carry-on. And, you know, that was that. It was really sad because we all got to really know each other and they got to know me. We had a lot of laughs. Like I spoke about on a previous video, I'm not going to continue to do this type of traveling. Not for very much longer. Because I really need to start trying to build a foundation for my life that's a little bit more stable. Because right now, I'm like a bird. I can just get up and go and be gone and be all right with it. But I do want to, at some point in my life, I want to have something to come back to that is like mine, like a home. Eventually, I will start building those foundations, but I can't do that and travel the way that I've been traveling. I told Sia, because they would ask me like, oh, so when are you going to come back? I don't know, because I got to start getting my life together. It was really sad. Also, Nancy, on the way back from the beach, all of us got in the same KK. So Calvin was sitting on my lap, Lizzie was sitting on Sia's lap, Sia's little cousin was sitting on her youngest sister's lap, and Nancy was sitting in the front of the KK. The KK is not meant for that. The KK is meant for like 3 people, or at most. Maybe 3 people and a baby. But it's not meant for 8 people. And not even 8 people. It was like, Calvin's like 2, Lizzie is like 1, and the rest of us are adults, except for Sia's youngest sister and her cousin. This is not meant for that, but we figured it out. And halfway there, Nancy got out of the KK, and she was basically getting ready to say bye. But I was in the middle. So like Sia was on the outside, Sia's youngest sister was over here. Then it was Calvin in front of me, Lizzie on Sia, and Sia's cousin on her sister's lap. So I couldn't get out, give her a hug or whatever. And Sia told her like, oh, just come to the house after. And right before Monique leaves, and then you can say bye there. And why was this so important to mention? Nancy, like, we really connected. She's like me, but a little bit more boisterous. Like, I'm very personable. I make a lot of friends easily. My personality is very personable, so people are drawn to me. But Nancy's like the life of the party, okay? Like, she was funny, and she like knows a lot of people. She knows the city. Sia kept saying, I look to Nancy because I left here, and while I was gone, Nancy was just soaking up all this information about where to go for certain things. So Nancy is the one that knew where to go for my hair. Nancy was the one that took us to certain places to eat and taught us how to get around the city. She was like the main one who was like, no, take this street, not that street, because I bet you there's going to be traffic over here. Like, that was her. So when we had to start bargaining for the stuff that I wanted to buy, because you could bargain over there, she was the one who would be like, no, we want X, Y, and Z. Because, I mean, you could look at me. I look like I'm from the United States, especially standing next to 2 people who are from there. So they knew that I was visiting. They just didn't know from where. So if I spoke English, they would try to raise the price on me. How we knew this, I mean, she knew this because of other reasons, but how she knew this for sure was, it had happened before, but this time she had found a dashiki that I really liked, and she got it for a certain price, right? It was like 165 Leones. I get there. This is the day that I was getting my hair done. So Sia went to go find some stuff for me, and I was getting my hair done. When I showed up after getting my hair done, she was like, see, I just got this for 165. Now she's trying to charge you 180. And it was, you know, not the exact same dashiki, but it was something close. And it was all for me. So I paid 165 for one of them and then 180 for the others. That's some bullshit. What her point was, the entire time, I didn't speak. So when we went to the hair place, I didn't say anything out loud. I would like pull one of them to the side and I would say it like in their ear or something like that. Or I would whisper it. And then Nancy was like, she told Sia that I didn't have to do that in here because the price was a flat fee. So you couldn't negotiate in that store. They were going to charge you for what it was. But when we went anywhere else, I could not speak English out loud because they would charge us for that. Like, because the assumption is, oh, she's coming from a country that speaks English. She must got it like that. Nah, bruh. All the money I had went into this trip. So, and I told Sia, because when we were bargaining for it, because what happened was my cousin had asked me to get dashikis for our family reunion. And she wanted all in a match. I was like, all right, cool. So on the last day, the day that we were going to the beach, we went to the market for, or no, actually the second to last day. We went to the market again. We couldn't find the one that I wanted for all of us. So I wanted everybody to have the same one and we couldn't find it, right? She was like, okay, so what are we about to do? Because we can't find all of them. In the market, there are different vendors. There's like 50, 60, 70 people in the market all selling their own things. But if someone comes in and they want the same thing of each thing, they will go and ask other people in the market, hey, do you have this? Hey, do you have that? I'll give you this much for that if you give me that, and I'll take this to the person I'm selling it to. And so they did that, and they found 5 of the thing that I needed, but I needed 6, right? I was like, all right, well, we're going to figure it out. We're going to try and make it work out. I took what I could purchase, and then we went on our merry way. But while they were negotiating, Sia and Nancy was like, nah, we want it for this much. And this lady really was fighting us. Like, she was like, well, no, because of this and because then, you know, inflation is high. Inflation is high everywhere. Inflation is high here, and I'm feeling it. But Sia was like, I bet you were feeling it more. And I was like, you probably right, girl. Because it already is fucking, you know, expensive in the United States, let alone fucking in a country where the dollar goes very far, you know. The women, it made sense why they wanted to raise more for their product. But what Sia was saying, back before you got here just now, I was able to buy this product for $165. So for her to then try to use inflation as a reason why she's charging you for more, it's like, nah, because you just sold this for me for $165. And she was saying a couple of years ago, I could have got something for like $130 something. For the lady to then try to charge me $180, just don't make no sense. It was a really good experience. Glad I had it. Very happy with my purchases and stuff like that. I just think like all of the experiences kind of culminated on the last day, where we were able to talk about the stuff that happened. And I think that's what made it kind of sad. When Nancy was getting out of the KK, she thought she was going to be able to make it back to the house. And after all the time that we had spent together, she needed a proper goodbye. And I felt bad about it because she was graduating a couple of days after I left. It was a big deal for her, and she had to run around the city and get stuff. So when she was getting out of the KK, she was getting out of the KK to go get something for graduation. So she needed to leave because if she went all the way back to the house, you know, by the time she make it to where she needed to go, it'd be late and all this other stuff. So she was getting out to go do that, and then she was going right back around to the house. But she never made it back. So she didn't get in any of the pictures. I don't even think we have... No, we have one picture together, I think. She was just my road dog. She was like trying to get me to move there. She was trying to get me to have a husband. When I told her that I want to have a baby through surrogacy, she just doesn't understand why would somebody do that. She was like, no, you need to feel your own baby in your stomach kicking you, and there's something about it. I was like, oh, that is beautiful, girl. I don't want it though. So we just had a great time. So it was really unfortunate that she didn't make it back to the house in time for me to catch the ferry. So shout out to Nancy. I know Sia is going to show her these videos and stuff like that. But she was a really good person for me to meet and to connect with like that. And she was really sad about me leaving for a lot of reasons. Number one, I was so chill and adaptable, unlike the other guests that they've had in the past. Number two, we just had a really great time. and connected really well. Again, I'm just a personable person. I make friends everywhere. So Sia was like, we'll give her your cell phone and all this other stuff so that y'all can connect and blah, blah, blah. So shout out to Nancy. They got me back to the ferry. I had to check in around 9:30. When we got back to the ferry station, there was a lot of traffic. Something was happening. I think just the line to get out was just very long. So by the time we made it up to the front, there was like a line of cars behind us. So I really even couldn't give a proper goodbye to her dad, to her, to Lizzie, and to Calvin, because they came with us to the ferry station. And so it was really sucked because I couldn't really give anyone a proper goodbye except for Sia. And, you know, Moses and everybody. I gave everybody a hug before I left the house. But, you know, I didn't really get to say goodbye to Sia's dad and thank him for having me and stuff like that. Even though when he got here, I did all of that. I just wanted to be very, like, gracious and, like, thank them. Like, off top. Thank you just for a good time. And the next time I'm going to see Lizzie, she's not going to be that size. Same thing with Calvin. The next time I see Calvin, both of them might be talking and walking by the next time I see them. Well, I mean, both of them are talking and walking. But, like, making full sentences and, like, you know, doing things on their own. I just really wanted to have that chance to say goodbye. But it was just so busy. I just got my shit. And the thing is, a lot of people worry about me when I travel by myself. But with all the experiences that I've had, I'm used to getting out of the car and just going and being ready for whatever transport I have to do. If I gotta take a plane or a train or whatever, I'm used to just getting up and going. It sucked to leave. It was very sad, but, you know, here we are. We did that. Got in the train station. It was a lot of people in there, but what I realized was a lot of the people that were waiting to pick up people on the ferry that was coming in. So the ferry that was coming in to drop people off was the same ferry that I was going to get on to go back to the airport. So all these people, as people started coming in, all their family and all their people started picking them up. And then they said, okay, it's time to get on the ferry. So I, you know, started heading that way. People are hugging people, saying goodbye. So a lot of the people that were in the station were people that's dropping people off or picking people up. The majority of us that were going on the ferry, it was very few of us. So we got on, I, you know, gave him my luggage, all that, and took the ferry back. I didn't get seasick this time, so that was good. I was sad, though, so I might have been just focused on that. Now, this is where the chaos happened again. Chaos, chaos, chaos. If you haven't watched one of my other videos, I think it's video 2, where I talk about how there's so many checkpoints on how to get into different airports on the way to Sierra Leone. I didn't realize this how this was going to be on the way back. And so Sia, the friend that helped me get through the airport and stuff like that and to the ferry station, is the same friend that was supposed to help me from the ferry station back to the airport. We did not connect. I don't know where he was, but I told Sia to thank him for even helping me to get to the airport to begin with. Because once I've been through the airport now, like at this point, if there's no one to help me, I'm just going to use context clues, watch other people, do what I know. So I know I need to get my luggage. So I'm going to wait over here for that shit. You know, if I see because what happened, I saw a really long line to get into the airport. So I asked somebody about it. Like, okay, so do I need to get in this line or what's the line for? I was okay. It would have been helpful to have somebody with me, though. Got off of the bus that dropped us off at the airport. Then I had to wait for my luggage. It was, of course, one of the last ones to get off of the goddamn bus. So I'm seeing all these people grab their luggage. But it's fucking chaos. For security purposes, I'm assuming. They had the area for where you pick up your luggage to be super close to the airport. Like, the sidewalk for the airport is here. The area for your luggage is right here. And there's like one little gate. And so there's so many people in one concentrated space. So it was just chaos because it was too many people and so many things happening at once. So I finally got my bag. As I was waiting for my bag, there's this dude standing next to me. He asked me. He was like, you still haven't gotten your bag? I was like, no. I was like, they said there was another bus though. So I'm assuming our luggage is on that bus. Which we were right. That bus pulled up. It was hella luggage on there. So we both of our luggage was at the end. So we were kind of talking in between there and waiting and seeing. And then we got in line and we were next to each other. So I'm talking to this dude, and he is from Italy. He came to Sierra Leone. He works in Sierra Leone. So at this point, he's just going home, and he's going to come back. I had asked him, have you been to this airport before? He was like, yes. I asked him, I was like, is this the line that we need to stay in? This is before we got our luggage. I said, is this the line I need to stand in? What is this line for? He was like, when you enter the airport, they check your passport, and they check your ticket, and they check for your vaccinations. I was like, oh, okay. We both went to go stand in the same line. Standing in the line to get in, and he's like, so where are you from? So I tell him, oh, I'm from the United States. He was like, where in the United States? I said, California. He was like, all right, cool. He was like, what brought you out here? So that whole thing, we started having this conversation. This is where more chaos happened. So then they wanted to split the lines. I didn't understand this at first and why they were doing that, but then eventually I got it. So at first, everybody who was in every flight taking off within, it was like 5 flights that were taking off within the same time, was in the same line. So they were getting people in, they were checking your passport, looking at your ticket, blah, blah, blah. Then they try to split the line. So they said, anyone who's on Turkish Airlines, come this way. So, you know, we're like, la, 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 I'm on Turkish Airlines. So we get in the line. People start complaining. Now, you know, they're speaking Creole, but like I said, Creole is kind of close to English. But this woman was like yelling. So I couldn't understand what she was saying because she was yelling at this woman at the front of the door. I was like, all right, cool. I don't know what's happening here, but I'm going to go ahead and, you know, get my shit together. So I get in the Turkish Airlines line. Literally, as I got to the front, the lady who was at the door checking people's passports was like, told the person next to her, you need to make sure they have their tickets too, which was a problem because I didn't have my ticket. Every time I tried to check in online, they wouldn't let me because you have to check your passport at the desk first, and then they'll give you your physical ticket. So I didn't have a fucking ticket. So when she said that, I just kept walking because I was like, hell no. He had already checked my passport at that point in time. I just kept on walking. So I got into the airport. Now, mind you, let me back up because I want to make sure that y'all understand what I'm saying. We had not made it inside of the building. At the door, they were checking passports and tickets. I was like, yo, is it this many people really trying to get up out of Sierra Leone? It's crazy. But what it is that people will find people's passports and try to pass themselves off as that person. So they was like, nah, we checking at the door. You ain't even coming in here unless you got a flight, right? So I go in, and now there's another line you got to stand in. This dude, I get to the end of this line, and pretty much he is checking your passport and checking your vaccination cards. So check your passport, check your vaccination cards. And then after him, they send you to the desk. So you got to go stand in line at the desk. So the desk is, you know, if you fly, you go up to the desk agent and they kind of help you with whatever you need. So I go up to the desk, I check my luggage. Everybody is pretty cool. Everybody's pretty nice, pretty chill people. Get to the desk, I drop my bag. She was like, okay, you're good to go. So I turned around and I was like, not exactly too sure what I'm supposed to do after this. Because in airports in the United States, there's like signs every fucking where. As you probably saw, my last video ended kind of funny. Just right off the cuff. It was because I ran out of storage while I was recording. We are learning, we are growing, so thank you for working with me as I am learning and growing. Thank you for watching. Please keep watching. Watch some of my other videos on my channel. Follow me on Instagram, Lil Mo Travels on Instagram, and watch out for the next video.